There it is.
Oh, okay.
Now you're streaming. All right. You're the host. I'm out.
Hold on. It still says preparing. It's setting up. There's like a bar.
I've got to, yeah, it'll do that, but it says on my end, meeting is now streaming through YouTube. You
Okay.
want to close that browser window though, because otherwise it'll play and then you'll hear it in your meeting. So
Yeah. Okay.
it's good. You're on. Okay.
Okay. I just closed out of it.
All right. Take care, honey. I know it's been a hard day.
Yeah. It's been a long
Ping me
one.
with ping me with some messages. I'll send you cute dog photos or whatever you need. All right.
Sounds good. Talk to you soon.
Okay. I'm smiling behind the mask. All right.
Thanks.
Bye-bye.
Bye. I hope everybody can find the meeting. I was just on another call with Marty. It's been so crazy today. We had to switch it over to a different meeting, this one. And she said she got a notification that Kathy logged on to her meeting, the initial one. So I texted her and I hope she gets that.
It looked like it was pretty cut and dry from the email I got. So hopefully they
Well,
find it.
good. Yeah. Yeah, hopefully.
If not, it'll be a really short meeting.
Yep. Wondering if it's worth sending another email to everybody.
Good question.
I don't know if they'll see it at this point.
I expected more people would be on by now.
I thought so too, usually. I'm keeping an eye on my email too to make sure nobody's asking where the meeting is.
Did everybody RSVP? Get us a breeze. Did I RSVP?
I don't know. I think you did. I think you might have been the only one.
I can't throw shade if I don't do it. It did ask me to input a password too, so I wonder if maybe that's throwing people off a little.
Oh, maybe.
But I mean, it was right there in the email, so.
I'm sending another email now.
Okay.
Hopefully they see it. We'll see. I just sent another email. Oh, there's okay. There's 1, 2 more. There we go. Hello. So Courtney, the phone numbers did change, but I have a slide of them. So I'll share my screen and pull up those phone numbers when we need to at the beginning or at the end or whenever. Courtney, is your sound working? I don't think it.
I have a feeling it's not.
I don't think so.
Can you hear me now? Okay.
Yeah. Can you hear us?
Yeah, I just downloaded
Oh, okay.
the app or whatever on my computer, and I'm still trying to figure out the microphone
Gotcha.
because it's complicated.
Yeah, it is. It's always got to be complicated. There are new phone numbers for this meeting.
Was that
And
in
so-
the email you just sent?
Yes, but I have a slide of them so I can screen share so that they're up there. So yeah, just let me know
Screen
when you want
share?
those at the beginning and the end, and I can do that.
Yeah, let's do the screen share, and then I'll just read off 2 of them, the landline and then one of the non-landline numbers, and then we'll be good to go.
Yeah, and I can't tell what it's totally new and different numbers. I can't tell what's a landline and what's not. It just has cities. So I don't know. Stony, you've got the right idea. That's genius.
Can
Okay.
you see my bike?
No, but we can see you moving.
I love it. Okay. Did you want me to go ahead and pull those numbers up now or in a minute?
We can pull them up now. We're starting in realistically a minute unless we don't get anybody to join, and then it's just the 3 of us.
Yeah, I just sent a reminder email with the new link. Yeah, sorry that came through so last minute. It was again kind of a scramble with Marty today to get logistics figured out, but we are live. Here's Lisa. Okay.
There's Lisa. So we need 1 more person for us to be a quorum, for us to be able to do any voting. So we need 1 more person to join with us today. If not, everything we discuss here is just conversation at this point. But Kirsten, had you heard anything from anyone about joining or not coming?
No, Joe's the only one that said he would be here.
So, good job, Joe.
Hi, Lisa.
Dennis just emailed and said he received an update on his computer, but not his tablet.
That is a lie. I emailed Dennis at 3 different emails every single time.
Can you?
Because he has one email for his tablet, one for his phone, one for something else. So I email all 3 of them every time. Okay, Danny's popping on.
Okay, Danny is here. Okay. Can you shoot Dennis? Do you know which one is his tablet email?
No, I just have 3 emails. So I just send it to all 3. And I've also told him he can forward an email to himself wherever he needs it. But
Dennis.
The beauty of digital.
I did get to meet Dennis's cat the other day. We were at the vet at the same time.
What vet do you go to?
It's just called the Animal Clinic. It's Dr. Hanich is my vet up on Southwest Higgins.
Oh, nice. We took
Like
our
the most generic thing ever, the Animal Clinic.
spa appointment.
Oh.
So she got washed and brushed. And I think she hated it. She was not very happy with me when she came home. Well, let's give it one more minute. Danny, I think you need to have your video available for our meeting. It doesn't look like anyone said they aren't coming, but we can go ahead and start because we do have a quorum. So we'll just call the meeting to order.
Give me 2.5 seconds. I'm going to try to email Dennis one more time. Okay. Emailing all 3. We'll see.
What were you saying about the video? That's a requirement that you use your video?
Kirsten can double check that. I believe that's what Marty said, is that we have to have our videos on for the meeting they're recorded.
Yeah, that was her recommendation. I'm not sure if she used the word requirement or not, but she just said they highly recommend that all members have their videos on if at all possible, just because it's kind of unnerving to look at a screen of names. But yeah. So from Marty, she said it's preferred to have videos on if possible.
All right, so Hallie and Kathy are here.
I just tried to resend it to Dennis, so we'll see.
Okay, so I'm going to call us to order. Kirsten, can you please put up the phone numbers on the screen?
Right.
So
can you see them?
Go
do
ahead.
people just have all the documents up on their screen? Is that how you do it? Generally? What do people do?
I make my Zoom screen smaller and I like try to split screen it. So I have my documents on one and I just flip through the tabs.
Yeah, okay. But maybe there might be a even savvier way of doing it that I didn't know about.
I don't think Zoom is up to that part yet. So I'm going to read off the phone numbers if anyone wanted to call in with any questions or concerns. One of the phone numbers is 1-669-287-2944. 900-6833, or you can call 1-929-205-6099. So I think you can take that off now, Kirsten, and we can move on. Do we have any guests today? No guests. So we'll move on to approval of August's minutes.
I motion to approve.
I'll second.
All those in favor, please just raise your hand. All those opposed? Minutes pass. I apologize, I clicked on the wrong thing for 1 minute. So Hallie, have you been officially approved by City Council?
Sure, I haven't heard anything from anyone.
So just so you know, Hallie, Marty has recommended that we have our videos up when we're doing the meetings. So if you can, that would be great.
Sure.
And I believe, and Kathy, it comes from Heidi, right? She would get an email from Heidi at the city telling her that she's been approved by City Council.
I believe.
And they just had their meeting last week, or was it yesterday? They just had a meeting.
Great.
If you haven't heard anything, I will reach out to Heidi and ask her for you. But I don't see why they wouldn't have approved you. So Hallie, we'll just hold off on you being a voting member then until we hear officially from Heidi. If that's okay with you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, Heidi's popping on right now.
Well, that's Heidi City Council, but then we have.
Oh,
Heidi.
yes, the other Heidi. Yes.
So Heidi in the mayor's office would be the one to email Hallie.
Yeah.
Two Heidis, Heidi. So now moving on to the welcome sign with Stony.
Okay, hi guys. I've been sitting in one place too long. Yeah, well, things are moving along a little bit. Courtney, I forget the name of the gal who we met with this last week. Okay, so a little update. I was thinking a little bit about the welcome to Missoula signs. Where do you begin with a big project like that? And so just kind of doing a little field research, looking up other town signs. I connected with the Las Vegas sign, which is classic, iconic, and is kind of some throwback design stuff. And it reminded me of an exhibition that I'd seen in the basement of the Florence building with old signs in Missoula. And I thought that might be a fun place to start. So Courtney and I went. One of the gals connected with, forgive me, the Historical Society, that group.
She works for the MDA.
Put it on. She's with the MDA. The exhibition was put on by Montana or Missoula Historical Society. Is that right?
No, it's actually the
For the
MDA
record.
stuff. They do the historical walking tours, but the Historical Society
Oh, okay.
assisted them in creating that. So all of the materials in that exhibition are MDA's. They own them.
Okay. Oh, okay. Cool. Okay, that's good to know. So anyways, we went and just checked it out, took some photos as kind of inspiration. And I'm looking forward to bringing everybody into the loop. Hallie and I had a conversation this week. She's interested in joining the committee, and I'll loop in Heidi. I think I remembered you saying you were interested in joining that committee. Is that right? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, and you
And
sent
then
me.
Kathy and Courtney. So I have. Did I add you to it?
You did, yeah.
Okay, great. So, you know, in my mind, I've been trying to kind of organize the pieces to offer you something coherent that we could take and start brainstorming and do actually more group work. And as part of that is also kind of pulling out some key stakeholders. Courtney, sorry, it looks like my internet's unstable right now. I'm going to pause video so y'all can hear me. I've been having connection problems, but I just sent an email out to Barbara with Destination Missoula and Linda with Missoula Downtown Association to reach out to them to see if they were interested in being stakeholders or involved in this project, and then reached out to Dave Strohmeyer too just now to start the conversation with him. I have a major fundraiser coming up at the beginning of October, so I won't be able to move any balls down the line until after that point, but I thought maybe I could send out a doodle poll and we could all get a meeting on the books at least and have a plan to gather together as a committee in October. So I welcome thoughts, reflections. Otherwise, that's a quick update of where things are at.
I think a doodle poll is great to see when we can meet in October.
Either you can't hear me or that all sounds good on your end.
I think it sounds good unless anyone has anything to add to it.
Sounds good, Stony.
Awesome. So we'll move right along to the Indigenous Mural Project with Lisa and Danielle. Can you guys hear me? Yeah? Okay, so it's off to Lisa and Danielle. Just making sure my mic.
I have been away for a little while, so I haven't moved any further. Have you, Danny?
Not really. I mean, I'm connected with a few people in the art departments. A little Bighorn College, I think. So Crow. Other than that, I haven't really done much. We're deep in election season and census, and so I am super busy.
Yeah. I think that they set our next meeting for October, and then we just need to work on that that memo of understanding that came out, which I saw that there was a beginning of a draft.
Yeah,
connected to one of the documents. We can talk about that.
Yeah, if we could, that'd be great. I started it with just a rough outline, and then we can edit it and add things or change things up to present to them. I wasn't 100% sure with who all the parties were that we were entering this into with, and what they've already agreed to, or what do we expect them to do. So I thought, yeah, let's share it and have a conversation, and this is completely open for all edit, whatever we want to take in or put out.
Okay.
So
Kathy?
Oh, so I was just going to suggest, I thought it looked good, but maybe as also a starting point, Jim Nugent may have some standard MOUs that the city has used that might be easy for us to insert some of that language. And then when we send it back to him for a final review, he'd be a little more amenable to, or not amenable, but it might be just more clear for him.
Yeah.
Did you start this one from scratch, or were you using a model, Courtney?
I just started this one from scratch. This would, I think, for me, this is the first official MOU like this that we've done with so many parties working into it. It's a little more complex than what we've usually done.
No, I was just thinking he may have some standard language that the city uses because they've done so many MOUs with other organizations and things. So I just thought it might help.
Yeah.
Is this the one that's with Northwestern?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's just Northwestern too. Who are the parties?
Yeah, I was gonna suggest, yeah, getting a template. We just, in my work world, entered into a MOU with Parks and Rec, and they often have stock language that I bet Donna or somebody would be able to
Donna Goffer?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I'm happy to, I can send that email if that's easier to you and her, and just make the connection.
It did seem like the parties involved was unclear. So I wonder if maybe something at the beginning that would say who all the parties were. So maybe that'll be in the template. I mean, I'm unsure who all the parties are involved, and I'm sitting in on the meetings. I mean, it's unclear. So,
Yeah, I think that way is, I mean, when you look at the responsibilities of what we were doing, it's what we usually do if we were to do an art call. And I thought that was our responsibilities, taking away the payment part, but we haven't gotten a clear 100% it's Northwestern paying for them.
no, I do feel like it's a mixed thing. I wish someone had it, that we could talk to someone with some experience in doing this, because I do feel like there's like pressure, like at the meetings, there's almost always a moment where someone says, well, the public art committee will be leading this. And I'm like, is the public art committee leading this? I'm not sure that's true. So there's this like little bit of push of responsibility going on. And I don't know what's normal. So because this is the first time I've done it, that it just doesn't seem like we should be leading this project. We're just a player in this project.
So is Karen, the only other person I've talked to about this is Karen Sippy with, who obviously heads up Trees for Missoula. And, are they a party to this at all, or is she just tangentially involved through the gallery, or?
Well, she's part of it as Trees for Missoula, but her official role, although she mentions her role in Trees for Missoula frequently, is that Blue Ribbon Committee that's through the northern, what is it? It's called like, it's a citywide parks kind of organization, but it's not Parks and Recreation or that one. It's not the government. It's not the state one. It's the city one. And then there seems to be a branch that covers Caris Park area, and it's got the word north in it. And I'm not quite sure how that is connected, but so it's that Blue Ribbon Committee that puts her in these meetings in an official capacity. But she's often saying Trees for Missoula can contribute this. So so she's wearing two hats in that regard. And then certainly Northwest Energy has said that they are paying for it, but then now and then they're very, I don't know, they seem to suggest that there will be other people paying for it, and I just don't know how that works. So it would be nice to know who the parties are. Maybe I'll ask. So they did set up a meeting on the 20th, and maybe I'll just send an email out and say, we need it for the memo of understanding. Can we get a list of all the parties involved and the people involved? That seems to be the most straightforward way of doing it instead of trying to figure it out.
Yeah, because I did put Parks and Rec on here because you discussed a park walkway.
Mm-hmm.
So that, I mean, we'll have to work really closely with them and all of making sure that, I don't know. Yeah, just that'd be really helpful.
And I do think that the team is getting bigger. So Kia from Zach has said that she wants to be involved. And I'm not sure in what capacity, whether it's just a volunteer personally or whether she sees Zach having a role. And then one other party that makes an appearance now and then. So I'll just ask.
Well, I think we want to make sure that if this is a project that we're doing, that we are kind of the leaders of it, so that way we have a little bit more control. I don't know, how does everybody else feel about that?
As a volunteer
I thought we were in
organization.
charge. Oh, sorry, Lisa.
As a volunteer organization, I mean, this is a huge project with lots of work to be done on it. I have maybe 2 hours a week max that I can put toward it. So if it's at that pace, sure, I can do it, but I can't do 20 hours a week on this project. So that's my only thing that worries me about saying, yes, we'll take the lead, is because I'm the lead of this project. But maybe I could, and Danny's really busy too, but maybe I could turn it over to someone else and just be if we do want to take it on and have it be more full-time, then it's probably going to take more hours.
Who's responsible for the long-term maintenance of it? It's Parks and Rec, right?
Well, that was originally why this came up, was because they said, but the Public Art Committee is going to be in charge of maintaining it. And I was like, I don't think that's true. And then Linda said, well, you should get that in a memo of understanding. So it was on the topic of maintenance that brought this whole thing up. The memo, that's what's driving the desire to see a memo, is that.
Well, I put maintenance on here because I thought that was what you guys had discussed, but that can easily be changed now because it's not a final draft.
Mm-hmm.
Kathy, you had your hand.
Oh, I was just thinking that we could use the guide that we did for the Studebaker building and the other, pardon me, public-private partnerships. Because, for example, in the Studebaker building, that belongs to the city, the building owners maintain and insure it first, and the city insures it as a secondary. So there could be some things we could take from there. And, Lee, since I'm done with signal boxes for a while, if you want some help, I'm happy to help you in any way, shape, or form.
Well, I don't know really what it's going to take, so, but thank you very much, Kathy.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, I thought we were taking the lead on this, but I think what's happened is it's grown so much with some of the other things that you've brought up. So
yeah, it's a complex, process with lots of parties. But although the meetings only happen once a month or every 5-6 weeks, so maybe maybe at that pace I can do it. But I'm afraid when it actually comes to doing the recruiting, that's going to bring up a lot of hours, because we're going to be going to or reaching out to each council or each artist and whatever organizational structure that the tribe works under, whether it's a council or a team or whatever the unique type of organization is, that each one of those things, and there's 12 of them, will bring up, okay, send 3 emails here and 3 emails there, and then we need to get back to them on this. And that's when it's going to explode, is like when we get to the reach out point. And Danny's doing a lot of trying to get the names and things like that, but it could get hairy at that point. Stony?
Hi. So this brings up an interesting thing. I wonder, is there an opportunity to put in the budget a temporary, position for a project manager, prioritize somebody who is tribal affiliated and offer the opportunity for skill set building, have the members of the Public Art Committee help support and guide. Sorry, my internet's unstable again. but maybe it's an opportunity to fund somebody to help support this project. It is a large project, and there's going to have to be a lot of follow through, communication, and likely hand-holding, depending upon the nature of different groups that are being worked with. And so, anyways, maybe through Montana Arts Council. I forget if you said NEA was on the books for this one, but the Communities and Artists grant that MAC does is probably pretty a good candidate for this. So, okay, that's my idea.
Yeah, and I did raise the notion of a project manager to at one of the meetings with the substation team, and they said that that Nathan would be the project manager on that end. But maybe if we really, and I was thinking at that point that they were taking the lead, but that's not a bad idea. If we want to take the lead, I think that hiring a project manager, someone who that's their job, is a good idea.
I wonder if there's also an opportunity to get a project manager as we could get some grant funding for it, but maybe it's not a lot because sometimes there aren't a lot of grant opportunities, or we just don't get all we want. If there's a way to work within the university too and offer it as partially paid, and then as a credit thing for a graduate student who's doing art, nonprofit, or even business, something in there, if we just can't find enough funding to entice somebody to come. Does that make sense?
Yeah, but an amateur project manager might not be a good idea on something this complex. I would rather have someone who was very professional and can do fewer hours than an unprofessional that would lead to sprawl.
True. Do we feel like, as far as the MOU goes right now, we're just going to reach out to Jim, Heidi's going to reach out to Parks and Rec, and we're going to look at language for the MOU, and then we'll revisit it next month with some more edits to it? Does that sound like?
I do have one other thing I'd like to bring up about it, and that is, and I have to switch over to look at it. So first of all, we were not going to create an art call unless it was mandatory because of the funding. We were actually going to invite artists.
Okay, so remove art call and say invite artists.
Yes, and then I don't think it should be the response. I think that it's politically tense to say that the Public Art Committee ensures each mural is an adequate representation of each tribe. I don't think that's our responsibility. I think that's the tribe and the artist's responsibility.
So how?
So I think I'd just,
what would you put then?
I would say maybe something like, well, this is what we can work on, but something about sensitively working with tribes to ensure adequate representation. But it's not us.
Maybe Danny can come up with some language that would better represent that. Because I was just trying to.
Yeah, I know. I see what you were doing. This is.
So Danny, could you come up with something for that language, or how would you phrase it? You don't have to come up with it now. It's hotspot, but if you have any ideas off the top of your head.
Not off the top of my head, but I can definitely think about it and kind of talk with some people about it. Yeah.
That'd be great, because I'm the part of the Public Art Committee is just to ensure that we get quality art, but I definitely want to make sure we're using the right language and tone. Joe?
I was going to comment that I really think that you did a good job with that first draft. I was curious, and this kind of factors into that question of, are the artists included in a future MOU, or is that an addendum that we contractualize with them? And is that something that would go into that language at that point?
I don't know, Kathy, maybe you can answer to that one, if it would be an addendum or if it would just go into the contract that we create with them. Or would the MOU be an attachment to the contract that we create with them?
And could we use, oh, sorry, Kathy.
No, that's okay. Dennis is texting me, trying to figure out how to get online. So I was trying to text him back Kirsten's message. Sorry, because he's lost and can't get on. Again, I defer to Jim on that and the legalities of the city and how we're involved. But I would think it would first be an MOU and then the contract. So, and they would be associated with each other. But I'm not an attorney.
Yeah, maybe we need to see those templates before we try to figure this out. There's no.
Yeah, and Jim is always so good with all of that. So I'm sure he'll make it work for us.
And then Lisa, you're gonna ask in the next meeting or you're gonna email who are all the parties involved so we can get that onto this.
Yeah.
So then we won't make any final decisions on this until next month, once we get all the edits in, or we might.
And one time I had sent an email out to everyone and or maybe a couple people that mostly just because I didn't want to flood people's email boxes, and was told that there's rules on Public Art Committee about who you can send an email to. Can you go over those rules so I don't?
So it's not who you can send an email to. Well, you can send emails, but we can't do any voting over email. So no decisions can be made over email. So like I wrote up the MOU, and it went out for us to discuss today via the meeting, but we couldn't make a decision on making amendments for the MOU without having discussions on it and then voting on it. But I don't think, and maybe Heidi can answer this question more clearly than I can, but I don't think there are limits on who you can email about a project.
Okay, I had sent something out and was told that I had to send it to, I think, everyone. So, I mean, and if this is like the least efficient way of writing, so I don't want to have to do edits on a Zoom meeting. So is there a way, how are we going to do these edits?
So if you are comfortable, we can meet in person and make edits together and make it appropriate. We can do social distancing meeting and do that. And then we can bring it to the committee to be voted on in October.
Okay, and we should probably do a Google document too, right? That
yeah,
everyone has
access to right now.
Oh, I'm sorry. So I could have made edits to I sent some edits to Kirsten. Could I have made them myself?
I think we leave Kirsten to making the edits because we don't want the Google Drive that we have is a public drive. People can access it. We don't want people just like going in and making edits to things.
Okay.
Righty?
So we're just in the process of a different committee I'm on, like editing our bylaws. And I think what I would suggest is that everybody, the way we did it in that setting is everybody came with, I think we emailed each other our edits like a couple of days ahead of the meeting so they could be, dispersed to everyone. And we had one point person, so we sent them all to Sarah Bell in this case. She's a county staff person, and then she emailed them to everyone else so that we all had them. And then we actually went through line by line at the meeting and then discussed, different people's amendments and then adopted, the ones we wanted, voted them up or down. And it actually went pretty smoothly and pretty well. So I think as long as we come prepared with like language we want to see, which I think could change based on what drafts we see from like Donna or legal, as long as we come with the edits on hand, I think it's a pretty quick process. We did do it in person, but I think if everybody has the suggested edits available, like we could also do it over Zoom, but and then one person of course has to track it all. But
well, maybe Courtney, you and I could meet and just and Danny and do a second draft and compare it with the template and just kind of have a brainstorming session about these sensitivity issues, and because there's a lot of ownership here in different parties, so we have to just be I think, super sensitive to all the groups and everything.
Absolutely.
So make sure we're okay, and then we can do what Heidi's proposing. So I just don't want, I think that that meeting would go on forever. So I think separating it, get it a little bit refined, compare it to the template, and then move on.
No, I totally agree. And I think that that's a good starting point for this. And I think we'll be able to come back to the committee with a really solid second draft.
Yeah. And thank you for drafting that with so little information.
Oh, you're welcome. I was hoping it looked good. So we'll move on then, unless there's anything else anyone wanted to add to this project. Okay. Moving on to the library project, we're still just kind of beginning phases. I don't know, Heidi, have you heard anything back from?
So I've held off asking. So I was going to approach Knife River. I'm in the process of applying for a really big grant through them for the West Side Park project. And we are submitting that at the end of this month, which is to their, I guess, the MDU Resource Board, which is kind of, I guess, a parent company. Yeah, so I haven't approached them about this project yet because I don't want them to get conflated.
Totally.
So I'm hoping I'll have a conversation scheduled with can't remember his first name, Zinke. He's our local guy here at Knife River by the end of the month.
Cool. I think that's a great point. I mean, we're just kind of, I think we need to know if we're going to get the concrete or not before we approach the library and ask them to do it. Because I think they're going to be a little standoffish unless we have anything to approach them with.
And then I'm having trouble visualizing where it would go.
So when you're driving down Front Street,
okay,
the old library, the new library, on Front Street, that's where you would pull in to do the parking. There's a tiny little grassy spot closest to the old library. That's where they had originally proposed it.
Okay, perfect.
All right. So that's kind of where that is. So we'll move on to the Poverello. So the Poverello, they're full steam ahead with their stuff. We're finishing up a contract, but we do need to approve the design that they want to put outside their fence. The design's very, Kirsten, if you could screen share that would be great. So the design is "You Are Loved." And the thing that we have to be flexible with is that the colors are kind of up to the artist at the time, because he does do a community paint day. So he brings people in and they all kind of make decisions. But the wording, the "You're Loved" or "You Are Loved," this is essentially what it's going to look like. So we just need to vote that if it's appropriate or not appropriate. Does anyone have any thoughts on these murals? And they're bringing in an artist named Alex Cook. He's from the East Coast, being paid through the church. Kirsten, I can't remember the church, if it's the Baptist church. Her name is Judith. She's amazingly kind, and she went out and wanted to do this. They're funding the whole thing. The Poverello has ownership of the mural, so they are taking over maintenance of it. We are just kind of helping them approve the design, and we helped them with the contract. And if you're interested, the date for painting would be October 3rd through the 8th, if you want to bring any of your community down to the POV to assist in this painting, because it's a community-wide event.
Yeah, the community event is on the 3rd.
Oh, it's on the 3rd, but painting will go until the 8th, and I think Alex is happy to answer anybody's questions while he's here.
I move that we approve the mural at the Poverello without knowing the colors.
Thank you.
I second.
All those in favor, please raise your hand. All those opposed? Awesome. We will get that contract with that outline of the pictures and wording to Jim for approval, and then they will be good to go. It's a super exciting project because when COVID happened, I think everyone was like, I don't even know if this is going to happen anymore. And they really wanted to bring better message to what they are doing to help that community. So it's really exciting. Moving on to the Mountain Lion mural. The art call closed yesterday, but there was only one submission. And it was of chickens and eggs, which didn't meet the guidelines for the art call. So we're going to extend the art call.
Why are we having so much trouble getting an artist, do you think?
Well, the area that they want to do is kind of complex. It's the pillars and then it's the long bars at the very front of the building. So my suggestion was we can extend the art call for a month and push it a little harder to see if we can get anybody interested. If we can't, I suggested we change the location and just do a wall mural on the side that faces, it's not Ryman, what's that cross streets by the courthouse?
Is it Pine? Maybe? I think
Maybe.
it's Pine Street.
So I suggest, and
Yes,
then
Pine Street, sorry, I was on mute.
and then see if we get any better traction that way, because maybe it's just too intimidating of the structure pieces for people to want to design on, or they don't feel comfortable doing it. Heidi?
I had a
Money
question
come up?
about-
Oh, go
Oh,
ahead.
did money, the amount come up? Would they be
Oh,
willing
the
to,
amount.
would they be willing to increase the amount of money? It's that's
That's a worthwhile conversation. I think if they went up to, I think they're at 5 right now. I think if they went up to 7, they might get more traction.
it's a lot of space. And when you look at the height of what they're doing, that's asking a lot of an artist to have equipment to even be able to handle that at those heights in that area. For that amount of money.
Yeah, I read over the art call, and I guess my question was, were they limiting it to paint only, or could there be other? Like, it's a really interesting space, and I think it could be used. Like, other media could work well in that space.
What mediums are you thinking? Like a vinyl wrap or spray paint?
No, like could it have some more sculptural aspects, like up in the, like I was a little bit unclear of like, were they only wanting the surfaces to be, painted and that's it, or if an artist could bring more like dimensionality to it.
I don't know. I think that's a question we could ask.
And I think, yeah, and that was just something that stood out to me, because I think like if it was a little bit more flexible, I think there's, I don't know, like people could come up with some really unique ideas.
I think the chicken and the egg mural idea that we got was actually really cute, but it didn't fit the art call that they wanted. And they thought it was too representational of a facility in the transfer center. They have
right, because of the golden yolk griddle or whatever it is now.
Yeah. I mean, I thought it would be a really cute mural. I think it'd be a great traffic signal box, honestly. It's super cute. It's got chickens and egg yolks. It's like just super, it's fun. But
it's cute,
yeah.
and it's well done, but
super well done.
Just kind of missed the mark.
Have we ever had this problem of not having responses to our calls?
Mm-hmm.
We have?
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah,
we had such a big response to our signal box calls. I wonder if we personally contacted those people and said, do you know that are you aware that there's this other really good opportunity and you did such a good job on the signal box? Maybe you should consider this. Just like something more personal. Yeah. I mean, an art call is always, art calls are great if there's a lot of people looking for them. If there's not a lot of people looking for them, then they can kind of fall flat and opportunities to be missed.
I did actually, I just verbally mentioned it to the 4 that did the traffic signal boxes this year. I mentioned it to them when I took the short videos because it was timely. At that point, they still had a week or 2 to get the submission in.
Well, maybe we email the people who did submit for the traffic signal box, just a one email blast, and you can BCC them all and just say, hey, if you're interested, here's another art call opportunity. And maybe we can amend the, just a drawing description of what the mural would look like. Well, not like a description, but a picture of what it would look like.
And maybe not just this year, maybe everyone who applied for the last 3 years or something. Would that be, is that a huge administrative project?
I think they're all under submittable.
Yeah,
Under-
they should be easy to find. Yeah.
And
Kathy,
the people who applied,
You want
not
me-
just the people who won. Sorry,
Yeah,
I think
Catherine.
so. It might, Kathy, I might need you to pull some of those lists because our submittable account is under you. Anytime I try to download a list of contacts, it emails them to you. It won't let me like download them.
I've never received anything. I've never received an email.
Okay, well, I'll take a look
If you
again.
if you have the access, you should be able to do it because
I know, but
people have sent out letters and that's weird. We'll work on it. So yeah, who knows? Maybe changed it somehow.
yeah,
Kathy, you had your hand raised.
So did we send it out also through the public art email from the city?
Mhm.
Wow.
They wanted
All
to,
all the artists that were on, that have done the signal box this year, everybody actually had access through that, but couldn't hurt to email them again. We can email them all through submittable. So,
I think we should just email everybody that did the traffic signal boxes. That was a great suggestion, Lisa. And then we'll push it a month and then we'll let you guys know towards the end of October kind of what is happening. If anything hasn't happened, we'll just reshape the art call and do it again.
And again, we should all push it on social media and in our networks.
And the other, they did want to keep it local. So if we're just not getting anything here, we'll push it out a little bit and see if there's anyone in the surrounding area that is interested in taking it on.
Include that in the email, that if we cannot find a local artist to do this, we will go out, because that will probably be a motivator. Because there's a lot of artists who complain that there aren't local opportunities. So to say we have this opportunity and nobody's taking us up on it, sort of might remind them.
Highlighting line. Awesome. Okay, so we'll move on to art on the rattlesnake sound wall. So this isn't really much. I got an email from someone who lives in the rattlesnake wanting to potentially do art on the sound wall. But isn't there already some type of design on the sound wall? Anybody know?
there is on the highway side, but not on the side that faces the neighborhoods. Pretty flat.
So
Well, flat, but I mean, it would be as equally as challenging as the soil wall surface.
yeah, Heidi, you had your hand raised.
I was just gonna say, my guess is we'd have to get permission from the Montana Department of Transportation since it's their wall.
Yeah.
And Parks maintains a lot of, the grass and trees, but
Yeah, this is just a first conversation to find out what her ideas are and what she's thinking. I mean, I think a lot of the roadblocks are going to be funding. It's going to be a huge one. Maintenance, approval. So I don't know how far the project is going to be able to really go, but we'll start the conversation and we'll see. That's what that is. Then the Montgomery mural series. Ryan, who owns Montgomery, reached out to Arts Missoula and us wanting to talk about doing murals on the back of the buildings in the Karis Park area. He's talked to the Wilma, Monty Dolak, and what's the fishing building downtown?
Grizzly Hackle.
Grizzly Hackle.
Yes, and they're all interested in doing this. Their big thing all comes down to funding. The Wilma's issue is that they need to make sure that the board, because they are condos, would approve of it. So that's kind of where that's at right now, just looking at funding to see if it's doable. They already have a design by an artist that does art within their building. It would be bitterroot flowers and a wolf. So I said we would need to look over the art before it gets approved. So these are all just like kind of conversations and beginning of things. Not much is happening with anything right now. And then the virtual music festival. This is something that Matt, let me pull it up real quick. Matt Olson reached out to me. He and some of his friends who used to work for Warm Springs Production want to do a virtual music festival for the city of Missoula. The issue they're having right now is finding a place to do a virtual music festival. So they asked us if we knew anywhere that would be willing to host it. They said that they would be doing it for free, but they need just a place to do it. Joe?
When you say virtual musical festival, does that mean like all of the bands are going to be in one place performing online, or are they going to do something like each individual band performing in their own space and broadcasting that way?
It's a great question. I think it would be there. They would all be in the same space, rotating, like there would be somebody on stage and then the others would be socially distancing in the background. And then they would switch out and then it would stream to people. Does that make sense?
Mhm.
So it doesn't all need to be in the same place?
I think it does need to be in the same place. I think they need to be able to have the bands in the same location.
Kind of like what Mountain Lion is doing with their virtual music concerts.
Yeah.
I mean, they're all taking place in buses, and the buses are parking in different places.
Zach has also been doing something similar with their social distance sessions on Saturdays, but I know they've been really particular about the number of people in that space. I think they're keeping it under 30, so I don't know if it would work necessarily for what these guys are wanting to do.
Well, I don't know exactly. He didn't give me a number of how many people would be in the location. But it wouldn't
I feel
be.
like
Lisa, go ahead.
I feel like we need to have some idea of the commitment that they're asking for. Like, how many days do they need this space?
Okay.
The hours they need the space. I mean, if it's one day and 10 people, then maybe I could do that. If it's 5 days and 30 people a day, probably not. So it's hard to make the ask without knowing the full commitment.
Yeah, I will ask him that.
Yeah, that's great.
And I'll get back to you, Lisa. Does anyone else have any ideas? No big deal. Danny?
I might check over at the public house for a location, or the Elks Club, depending, I mean, because they're not all going to be performing at the same time, I reckon. So, I mean, if they're not all there at the same time, that might help ease up on some of the COVID restrictions. But depending on, like they said, how long they're going to be performing, if they want this to be a day or two thing, and how many hours that might factor into.
I think they wanted location donated to them. I think that was the big thing, is that they can't pay for the location. Stoney?
Thinking about that space we visited, I don't really know the name of it, but underneath the mall in the
Giggle Box?
Florence building, what's the name of that spot? Not that mall. Sorry, the one underneath El Cazador in front in Higgins.
Oh yeah.
We just went down for the signs. It's
That's
vacant.
really cool. We'd have to ask the MDA about that.
Been empty
I think
forever.
that's Nick Harris's space.
It is Nick Karras' space. Thank you. I was trying to remember who owned that building. That's a great idea. Thank you. I will ask him more clarification on days and hours, and I will let you guys know what he says.
And how is the Public Art Committee connected to that at all, or are they just asking advice?
It's just really
Or not?
asking advice, more of just like, hey, I have this idea. Can you help me figure out, like, just connect me with somebody who can help me?
You might ask Tom Benson about that, because they have a regular arts org meeting. And those people often have buildings and theaters and
Kirsten, when
those
did
kind of spaces.
They're every other Tuesday every other Wednesday, except not this coming week because of the MNA conference. So the next one is on Wednesday, the, what is it, 30th. Wednesday the 30th would be the next one.
Although you wouldn't have to attend, Courtney, you could just, when you find out the commitment level that they're really asking for, the days and the size, I think the size would be something that you would need. Like, could it be a room or does it need to be a hall? Even if it's not a lot of people, it might require a lot of equipment. So like, how big of a space are you asking? You could just send that as a note to Tom and Tom could read it at the meeting.
Yeah.
So you don't have to make the pitch.
That's a fantastic idea. Thank you. Awesome. So let's move right along to cleaning Lillian Nielsen's piece. Kathy, you're on mute. You're still on mute, Kathy.
I've called Steve no less than 5 times. I actually now am working with Glenn Cameron and trying to arrange something. And so he is trying to arrange their crew. But in lieu of all that, if they can't get it done in time, the folks that loaned us all of the cones or candles and traffic control devices for the signal boxes have water trucks at their disposal. So they're number 2. The thing we will have to do there is work with the city on blocking a lane of traffic while the water truck is out there. So we'll probably have to, actually, I don't know if we'll have to block that entry to the freeway. We're thinking that the water truck can go up on the entry and then the hoses come back. So more to come on that, but hopefully it can get done within the next couple of weeks. And I will let everyone know in case anybody wants to come and help make sure we get it all cleaned. Stony, I know you'll help.
Thank you. Heidi, if we have to get a road blocked off, could you help us with that?
It's just an encroachment permit with,
if it's just a permit.
it's not a huge deal, and it's the highway department encroachment permits. Pretty much the same thing as we do with the signal boxes.
Cool. So we have a half an hour left in our meeting, and so we can spend that time if we want, or however much time, talking about the submission process and making a model. If anybody had any further thoughts on it or ideas or feelings, floor is wide open.
But I'm sorry, before, not to interject, but I had like a cool image I wanted to show you guys, just to plant a seed in your mind as we're thinking about mural stuff. Is this an okay time to do that, or you want me to wait?
Go for it. I mean,
What's this?
share a mural or an image.
Let me see if I can I share this? Can I share my screen?
I think so. I think you have permission to.
Okay. Let's see. I'm going to, okay, give me just one moment. Can you see this now?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, here it is. Look at these.
I can't.
Can you see it?
Oh, there it is. That's cool.
Kick ass, huh? Can I say that on this?
Sure.
Yeah, so anyways, just thinking about that zone by, down by the river area, and anyways, I just thought these were lovely, and I set them aside for us to think about, and okay, that's what I have.
Gosh, where is this?
This is in Amsterdam, I guess.
Oh, of course. Wouldn't that
I have it.
be the Higgins Avenue Bridge?
I was just gonna say
Yeah.
they're doing the bridge. I wonder if there's room in the budget for a little bit of art.
Ooh, that'd be fun. Okay, I can try and
Probably not.
stop sharing.
You know, the master plan people have an idea to do Native American designs under the bridge. And it would be similar to that, only it would be, so that whole area that's down by Karis Park, those bridges, ugly sewer-filled bridges, they are going to be painted and lighted. That whole area is going to be the lighting down there. And so since the proposed indigenous murals are on one side, and then the Heritage Foundation is doing all these other signage about Native American places. And so the whole trail system is going to have a lot of connection to Native American cultures. So they believe that the whole bridge is going to take on this, underneath the undercarriage of the bridge is going to take on some of these as well. And it was in the master plan. They had unfortunately taken Native American designs from the South West region, and sort of one of their designers had put them in the plan. But so I think something like that might take place here. I love that picture. It's awesome.
Mhm.
Cool.
I like this idea of sharing cool things of public art that we've seen elsewhere. We should just do that more. I mean, I think if we had more top of mind, like this is what is in the world, this is what other creative communities are doing.
What if we added that to our agenda as one of the end items of share, if someone has a public art to share?
Yeah. I mean, I do try to share them online, and I know that Kirsten posts other art projects on the public art page. I always love those when they come up too. I was just in Miami, and which is where Windward Walls are, which is a whole community that's dedicated to graffiti and murals. I mean, it's just blocks and blocks of really wildly imaginative murals, and it's just fantastic. We're like they're at level 107, and we're at like level 2 in our mural.
At least we're on a level, right? Like we're trying.
Yeah.
We're making an honest effort.
Oh yeah, and I think just being on this committee for maybe 2 years, I mean, there would be like one mural project going on, and now there's like 5 to 7 projects going on. So I do think the pace of murals is picking up, which is wonderful.
I feel like you just shared something, Kirsten, from somewhere. Oh, it was on the Facebook page, and it's it's from June or August 16th, where there's stairs that are a piano leading up.
Yeah, yeah.
That was very cool. I liked that a lot.
Well, let's just pinky swear that we'll share more of what's going on in the world when they come across us, because I think it is generative.
And if you find cool ones, you can always email them to me and I'll share them on the PAC social media stuff.
Okay, sounds good.
Have you all seen the new mural that was installed at Vera Donuts like yesterday?
Is it inside or outside?
It's outside. It's Kurt Cobain in a donut. It's actually really cool. I haven't seen it, but I saw pictures. It's really cool.
Don't they have a donut called the Kurt Cobain?
I'm not sure.
That's amazing.
But yeah, just to give you all like some news about art going on here in Missoula.
Love it. So I'll just bring us back to our conversation of submissions and making a model. Does anyone have anything they would like to discuss with that right now? Or is this a topic that we want to hold off talking about until next month?
Is this all submissions or just to the signal boxes?
I think it's for all submissions.
I think it just depends on the project.
I think that how we should start this is by looking at something, and I mean, I don't know what I couldn't, having not sat in a meeting since a month ago, I don't know what our submission process is right now off the top of my head.
So it's an application, and then it's a design of what they would be producing for us. Sometimes it's paid, sometimes it's not paid for that piece. It really depends on the project and if there is funding to pay for those pre-designs. Then after that, we select finalists. The finalists move on to an interview where we then look deeper at the piece and ask if
It's written down somewhere, like this is our process.
Mhm.
Okay, maybe we ought to
I think maybe next month we
get that sent around and then.
Yeah. And Lisa, actually, it does, I mean, the general process has been, but it does vary from project to project. Typically for huge projects, I'm gonna pull out the Silver Park project. Artists submitted schematic drawings of what they proposed along with verbiage. And then the selection committee of all of the funders and players and selected the finalists. And if help me here, Courtney, if I'm remembering each artist then was given $500 to execute a model, the final.
Silver Park one or the MRA or MRL?
Silver Park and MRL.
I can't remember, but I know MRL was like 100 or 150.
Yeah, well, they got a pretty significant amount because we had 80 or 45,000 rather in Silver Park to work with. So depending on the amount of money available, the Public Art Committee had pre-selected that we would have money available for major models if there was one. Well, I'm saying major because they were major pieces of work. So so generally it has varied. This kind of the overview process has always been the same, but that then it has been refined based on each project. And money's available, time frame available, and all those parameters surrounding the project.
I don't think we can make recommendations until we see the particularities of it.
Right.
So then my suggestion is that we hold off on the conversation in depth until next month, where we'll, in the email that we send out to prepare for the meeting, we'll send that with it for everyone to review. And we'll move it up on the conversation so we can actually have a more in-depth one. Does everybody feel okay with that?
Yes.
Stony?
Right.
And I mean, it seems like this came up because we had artist feedback about their experience going through, specifically with the traffic signal fires, right? That's what kind of catalyzed this conversation to begin with.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, it was we did have one person.
We want to kind of zero in, like, are we talking at large? I think it's difficult if we're just kind of general.
Sony,
Go ahead, Kathy.
Oh, I'm sorry, Stone, we can't hear you. We had one with the project that Courtney was working on with the bus station, and then we had one with the signal box.
Yeah.
Okay. We did talk to the artists, Dennis and I, on that one, and not to belabor that point, but actually none of them had any issues with it, but we did have one artist that didn't enjoy having to make a model this year out of the 18 or 19 that we had submitted.
It's probably smart just to do this every once in a while.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the committee's
That was
probably completely turned over since it was last reviewed. So to just bring it out, let's review it again, see if there are efficiencies that we can, and redundancies that we can streamline.
yeah, I think that's a great option. I think we'll pull up the official submission guidelines, we'll review them over, and we'll have a more deeper conversation about it and see if there's anything that needs to be edited or if we like the way it is. And we'll go from there if everybody's happy with that route.
Sounds good.
Awesome. Does anyone have any announcement, news, or upcoming events?
I just want to remind everyone that we're still looking for a home for this mural by Willow Kip.
That's the library mural.
It is?
That's what we want at the library. That's
Okay.
what we're looking for.
Good.
But to be able to approach them with concrete or something to entice them into it. But we want it at the library. That's the goal.
Okay, good.
Sorry if I did not make that clear at the beginning of that whole process, but we already have a piece picked out. We're not going to do an art call for it. We would just put her.
Okay.
I have
Danny.
kind of an announcement. And so somebody reached out to me a couple weeks ago. They work with some kind of foundation. I can't remember the name, but so when they were talking with a donor, the donor expressed interest in funding a mural, and a mural specifically for missing and murdered Indigenous people. And so like it's, I don't really have a lot of information, but yeah, I think I might have more information for a meeting next month. But
That's terrific.
That sounds awesome.
There was one done up in Kalispell. It was Frank Finley and
Marita Growing Thunder.
yeah.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah, so this specific donor has been wanting to fund people doing work around that issue, and so when they were talking with some people, they mentioned that I wanted to do a mural here in Missoula, just kind of like I didn't really have a lot of teeth. It was just something I mentioned to them in passing, and yeah, no, this person was like, do you want to do a mural? So yeah, not a lot of, I don't have any more details other than that, but
Cool.
yeah.
Well, that's exciting. I can't wait to hear more next month.
Do we have a process or so right now Danny has a lead. Is there like, as the public art committee, this is how we follow up on a lead for a mural? I mean, as a salesperson, that's what I have, is I have a process for following up on leads. And so you gather together the kind of information that could further entice this donor down the road into donating. I mean, right now it's an idea, but what kind of steps would that donor want to see that would make them feel confident to part with their money? That sort of. I mean, you can ask Danny to ask for more information, but you're putting all the weight on the potential donor to come up with the parameters. And that's not how to pull them along.
Yeah. So when I was talking with not the donor, but the other person that's been in connection with them, they suggested that I write up a proposal. And so with this kind of project, I think you have to be really intentional about it. And there's just a lot of things that go into planning something like this, because I mean, you want it to be healing, and what does that look like for different families? I don't want it to just be like, I don't know, I can't think of the words, but like I said, like be intentional. And so and like again, like looking at who is involved. And so I have been talking with Marita about it, because I definitely want her to be involved. Like, who is all the other stakeholders, how you go about doing something that has like, I don't know.
But the line of thinking that you're doing now has to do with content, and that's super, super important. But
this project.
Yeah.
So I can help you, Danny, though, with thinking of location, how to get approval for the location.
Yeah, that was actually something I was going to reach out to you about, because
we're thinking about location would cost, materials, time frame. So I can help you with all of the logistical, that stuff, if you are interested.
since I'm pretty good at doing proposals to get money, if you want to run it by me when you have all those logistics, just for the sales angle of it, like if you're approaching a donor and you're wanting money, these are different angles of approach. I'd be happy to look at it just for that part.
Cool. I think that's a great, so Danny, if you want to give me what you have, and maybe we can meet on Zoom or whatever works for you and just kind of talk a little bit more. And then when we finish our part, we'll shoot it to Lisa and have her double check. Awesome. Does anyone have anything else they would like to share before we end our meeting?
I will be, oh, Kathy, go ahead.
Kathy,
You're
you're
on mute though.
I just wanted to remind everybody that we did get 4 signal boxes completed. I don't know who has been able to see them, but they all look really great.
They're beautiful.
The people who live adjacent to them were supportive of the artists all the way through it. Artists were excited. So all in all, good project. And then we have the tribute piece that will be done at Playfair Park of all those boxes that have been removed. So that'll be going up at the end of this month or early October, based on the sign company's availability.
Yay. Kirsten.
Thanks to Kirsten, by the way. I'm sorry. This was I was going to say. Sorry, Kirsten. Thank you for doing the virtual opening. She did 1 minute interviews with the artists. They were great. And Danny, thanks to you for talking to the Missoulian. Monica Giles Brings Yellow was featured in the Missoulian this weekend. I don't know if you all saw that. So that was very cool as well.
Yeah, her piece in the big box was just so much more than I could have ever imagined from the small box.
Yeah, Monica, and it's Gillis, but it's really vibrant. It looks so great. They all look amazing.
Yeah,
that was great public relations. That was terrific. We've talked before about we need better public relations. We need to figure out how to take our projects that are this big and make them public relations projects that are this big. That was an example of, a signal box that got a ton of attention and good attention, the perfect kind. So excellent work, everyone.
Go ahead, Kirsten.
I just wanted to give you guys all a heads up that I will be out of office in October, I believe like the 5th through the 12th. I'll be married by our next meeting. So I'll be out of office for a little while in October. Yeah, getting married on 10/10/2020.
Congratulations.
Thanks.
Yay. All right. So with 10 minutes to spare, we're going to adjourn until next time. Have a great rest of your month. I think Hallie got kicked off at some point. Not too sure what happened, so we'll need to touch base.
She did. She emailed me. I think she emailed all of us, but she said she was out at the tennis courts and it just wasn't working. She was getting kicked off.
It happens. All right, everybody have a great rest of your day. Bye.